Hello, welcome to Unit 2, Lessons 23, Solving Problems with Inequalities in Two Variables, Cool Down Answer Key. In this cool down, they give you the following situation. A band is playing at an auditorium with floor seats and balcony seats. The band wants to sell floor tickets for $15 each and balcony tickets for $12 each. They want to make at least $3,000 in ticket sales. So question 1 says, how much money will they collect for selling X floor tickets? Since we do not know exactly how many floor tickets were sold, but we do know how much it costs per floor ticket, we're going to write an expression using a variable and a coefficient. So that expression is just 15x. Number 2 says, how much money will they collect for selling Y balcony tickets? Again, we don't know how many tickets they're going to sell, but we do know that they're $12 each. So I'm going to write an expression that represents that situation, which is 12y. The next question says, write an inequality whose solutions are the number of floor and balcony tickets sold if they make at least $3,000 in tickets. So the word at least is an inequality word. That means in this case they can make $3,000 in tickets sales, or they can make more than $3,000 in ticket sales. So my equation is going to be 15x plus 12y is greater than or equal to 3,000. Now you could have then turned that into slope intercept form if you really wanted to, but this form is also fine. All right, the next question says using technology to graph the solutions to your inequality and sketch the graph. So what I'm going to actually do is do it by hand first, and then I'll do it on my graphing calculator, take a picture of that, and also include it. So you should be using your graphing calculator for this because that's how we covered it during class. So if I look, X is representative of the number of floor seats. And Y is representative of the number of balcony seats. To graph this, it's probably the easiest to do if we find the X and Y intercepts. So to find the X intercept, I'm going to be plugging in 0. I'm going to plug 0 in for Y and then solve for X. So when I plug in 0 for Y, I end up with 15x. And I'm going to use the equation version just so that I can calculate that X intercept. I divide both sides by 15, and I get X equals 200. Then you're going to repeat the process for the Y intercept. This time I'm going to plug 0 in for X and then solve for Y. So 12y is equal to 3,000. Divide both sides by 12. So y is 250. Now I can go over here and quickly plot those points. And then I'm going to connect them with a line. Okay. So the next thing I need to do is determine if A, I should have a solid line or a dashed line, and then B, what side should I be shading on. So let's look at the type of line first. I notice that my inequality symbol is greater than or equal to 3,000. So that tells me that the ordered pairs that fall on the line are solutions, and therefore my line should be solid, so I don't have to change anything. The next thing I need to do is a solution test to see where to shade. Like I mentioned in class, I always use the origin unless my line is going through the origin. So if I plug in 0 for X and 0 for Y, I need to see if that's greater than or equal to 3,000. And here I can see that it is not, This is false. So that means I need to shade away from the origin. Okay, so that tells me my shading is going to be up here. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm gonna do it on my graphing calculator and then add that picture to this cool down. Before I do it on my graphing calculator, I do need to put it into slope intercept form. So let's do that first. So 15x plus 12y greater than or equal to 3,000. I'm going to subtract 15x from both sides. And I get 12y greater than or equal to 3,000 minus 15x. Then divide both sides by 12. And I get y is greater than or equal to 250 minus, now 15/12. When I divide that, I end up with 1.25. So you can either write that as an improper fraction, or you can use it as 1.25 since we're putting it into our calculator. So that's the equation that I'm going to put in our graphing calculator, and then I will take a picture. All right, so here you can see what my graphing calculator looks like. So some noteworthy things that I did to get this graph. The first thing I did was, after I entered in my equation into y equals, I used the zoom option for zoom quadrant 1. Okay, this got rid of all the other quadrants for me so that my edges are going to be the X and Y axis. From there, I went into my window setting and I changed the Y max and the X max to 300. Okay, this allowed me to see more of the graph than what the zoom quadrant 1 does, because when you use the zoom quadrant 1, you see that it only goes up to like 10, so it doesn't give you enough information. So then I had to change my window settings. Another reason why we just focused on quadrant 1 is because if we think about the situation, going into the negatives does not make any sense. If this was just an inequality with no situation back to it, then we would probably want to use the zoom standard and then change our maximum and minimum settings. But for our situation, we know we're not going to go into quadrants 2 or 4 because then otherwise we're talking about selling negative amounts of tickets, and you just can't do that. So thanks for watching.